All right, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I thought you were gonna say it.
I love it. I gotta let you do. Y'all don't want nobody mad. Like, no, it's supposed to be you. You know how your fans are.
So here we go, man. We're here with Hollywood celebrity, producer, actor too, right? You acted?
Well, I acted way 20-something years ago when I first came here when I was like 21.
Still counts. Caleb Pinkett.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to the show. Or welcome to the show. Last time we were on the other one. Yeah. So, first of all, before we get into any of it, I want to know, like, what's the status of the strike? What's the status of your stuff? What do you got going on so that people can know?
Well, really, the writer part is over now. Mm-hmm. It's mainly now the actors are still on strike. So we can't, you don't officially go back to work until the actors are back, because then we can shoot. Like, we can actually, so like, that's for union projects. So a union project is anything that SAG is involved with. So SAG is the Screen Actors Guild. So they're still on strike. But if you're non-union, you can shoot with non-union actors. But like the project, so like Cobra Kai, for example, my show, it's unionized. It's the actors are all SAG, the writers are WGA. So it's like when they go on strike, there's no work to do. So right now we can now talk to writers again, but we just can't make anything because the actors aren't back yet.
Okay. And is Cobra Kai the only thing you're working on right now, or do you have other stuff? Whatever you got, let's put it out there.
Oh, we have a lot of stuff. I can't talk about everything, but I have a lot of things that are in development that I got ready to come sooner than later. So I'm looking forward to the relaunch once the actors come back.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now the reason for today's interview, the genesis of this discussion was, I've said it on lives before, but I did a video on my other channel, the Dubs channel. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, DUBSS. But I talked about how the Raza, the way that they identify themselves creates a huge problem for them. And I was talking about on YouTube, and I was talking about in the music industry. And I'm gonna go ahead and use terms today that I don't use just because of the topic. You know, of course, I never speak about the organizations, but I'm gonna give an example. Like when I say, when Raza get on, and you know, if you're from Southern California and you're on your song and you're banging Sur or Sureño or Southside, the industry understands that there is a very powerful organization behind all that. And so when you're labeling yourself that, you're saying I'm a part of this as well in some form or fashion. And if you don't understand why the record industry and YouTube is afraid of that, it's the same thing for the norteños. When you say in your stuff, hey, I'm a norteño, then there's an organization that comes with that as well. And these things, if you want to excel in those two fields, let who you are be reflected in how you conduct yourself and how you carry yourself. Don't identify yourself with people. So when I made that video, Caleb reached out to me and he was like, it's the same in the movies. Now, I had heard that for years, and I had told Caleb, we talked about it. And I said that I had heard a long time ago that the word Mexican is kind of like a dirty word in Hollywood, you know? And that's why when you see, they will make a movie or have a TV show about a Mexican family and nobody's Mexican in the cast. And so that's what we were gonna discuss today. And he was going to let us in on some of the stuff that he knows or what he feels and what he believes when it comes to Hollywood and the the movie industry when it comes to that.
Yeah, so, you know, I thought what you said was really, really interesting, because it's been something that I've noticed for years. The way that I grew up in Moreno Valley, in the IE, which anybody that's from the IE knows. I always tease and say it's like 90% Mexican, but it almost is, especially when I was growing up. And so I grew up with Raza, and I grew up with dudes that claimed neighborhoods, right? So I understand the street side of the Mexican street culture. Okay, so what I've seen happen is, when it comes to, it's not all projects. It's projects that are about families, that are comedies, like a George Lopez, all that stuff is, nobody has an issue. The issues come when it comes to street, the Mexican American in Southern California street culture. I'm gonna be very, very specific with that, because the street culture is where the fear came in. What happened with American Me, the aftermath of that, did a big number on that. Now I know that's like 30 years ago, right? But there's remnants of it. Do I believe it can be changed? 1000%. Do I believe it's actually wanted? Yeah. The problem is there's still the fear factor of, well, if I do something that may offend some people, will I need security for the rest of my life? So then what ends up happening is somebody that's making $1 million a year to tell stories, it's all entertainment. It's like, well, I'm not trying to hear that Silent and Mr. Cricket and Big Happy want to talk to me when I leave work. You know what I'm saying? It's it's a fear thing. And
it's a fear based on reality.
Well, there is a truth, but see, here's also something though. What has happened is the industry just looks at things broad, right? So it's like, well, it's all that way, all of them, this whole thing. American Me, anybody that knows it was very specific. They were actually using the names of and real people that existed, right? And changing a creative narrative, right? So that did something different. I didn't hear that anybody got hurt or booked or any sort of thing over Mi Vida Loca, that movie, or Bound by Honor, right? It's like because I think they went about it in a different way where as long as you stay away from certain things in certain areas, I think you're okay. The problem is when you're not familiar with that culture, it's just a blanket.
And not only that, they took certain liberties with the truth. Like you said, talking about actual people and actual events, and then you throw in a horrible scene that never happened. That right there, I think if that hadn't happened, people would have been upset, but they would have been like, whatever.
So it's interesting about that. See, so here's why it's entertainment, right? So as a storyteller, I understand why that decision was made to do that, right? And it's all linked into the story. So if you take that character in the movie, right? And what happened was that he was portrayed as a nice kid, as a good kid, just wanted to hang out with his friends and get respect, right? That's a normal thing. Nobody wants to be considered a punk. You know, it's this. So his character wound is that his father does not like him. What is revealed later is that his father doesn't like him because he doesn't know who his father was, because his mother was what? Raped. So his character wound is rape. So it's a thing for him. But the goal is we got to turn him into a killer. How are we going to make a nice guy like this kid who doesn't seem to be a killer into a killer? Because he's going to create something that's going to change the lives of everybody, right? So how do we justify that? You need character justification. Now, before I show you why, so take the JD character, for example, that not William Forsythe when he's grown. I'm talking about as a teenager, the young one. I'm only talking about the young characters, right? Because it's referring to that scene that we're talking about. That young actor that played the JD character, he portrayed JD in a way that nobody would think it was crazy or it wasn't earned if he went to juvie and somebody said, hey, we need you to whack this dude. And he said, all right, la primera. The whole audience would be like, hell yeah, because he had a thing about him that made you feel like he would kill somebody just to be down. Could it be because he was white and he wanted to really make sure he was down? Like, who knows? But the way he portrayed the character, you wouldn't doubt in a second. The difference is with the other character, with the Edward James almost while he was young, he didn't have that. It was more cool. You knew he had an issue with his dad, but he didn't come across as like that. Neither did the character that played Mundo as a young age, right? The Mundo character, right? Like they didn't come across like the way that the JD did. But we got to make this guy be the killer. So a character thing is if his wound is from rape. So now when you're creating a character line for justification for a character, so it feels earned that this nice kid would turn and become a killer. If it's linked to a wound, a trauma that a character has experienced, it rings as true. So they made that connection with the rape of his mother and his father hating him for not knowing which man is really his father. He grew up with that. So then to have that happen to him, it would hit an emotional chord that would turn a nice kid into a killer, right? That's like essentially why. Obviously it wasn't the best decision, and there's things, but that's why it was done. As a storyteller, I can understand that. So that is probably most likely where that came from.
But I want to ask you, so do you agree with me as far as like part of changing this is not having, I mean, like if I go in there, they're going to see, okay, this dude's probably been in jail or whatever. But as long as I'm not identifying myself as a certain thing, you know, and I'm just trying to be an actor with that, I mean, how do we change this?
If the thing is don't mention none of those guys.
Exactly.
One, that's the best thing not to do. And then two, it's really how you carry yourself and present yourself like in the room with the people. They would want you to be affiliated in some sense, so that way there's an authenticity. See, that's the thing. It's a push and pull. It's like,
I think maybe it's you grew up in it and grew out of it.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now I will say I do talk to people that are in the movie industry as well as the music industry, and I will say that homies that are trying to make it in the movie industry, they tell me when they go to sets and they see other homies there, it's like, hey, where you from? Hey, you know so-and-so? And they start and there's people listening. And they're trying to tell them like, hey, right here is not the place. Like, you want to talk to me outside. But, you know, and I think that's a problem that we have as Raza. Like, even when I do lives, people want, hey, do you know my uncle so-and-so? Like, let's chop it up about what we're chopping it up about. Like, that's really not important. And especially at work. Like, I don't think they understand, like, that's your work, or at least you're trying to make that your work, right?
Well, I think it's just ingrained in the culture. It's part of it. And you have to have more experience at it to know, like, that's not the place. But, you know, if you're an extra, I mean, you're getting paid $100 a day to be on set and you're just standing there, like, you're still who you are. So you're not looking at this as like nothing.
I want to be an extra.
You know what I mean? And then you're on set. And so those kinds of things can happen. But I think more so it's like it's changing the mindset from street to business, right? And the thing about both of our cultures, street is mixed in to everything. It's just is. It's wrapped into black culture. The streets are wrapped into rap music. They're wrapped into movies. You know what I mean? It's wrapped into everything. The only difference is that black people have been doing it for so much longer. There's more experience and just know how to do it. And plus, we're not as, we know our organizations are all splintered.
I was gonna say,
so
a disadvantage that Raza have is, the Crips and Bloods are huge. They're everywhere, but they don't have organized crime behind them.
Right.
They're disorganized crime.
Yes.
Where the Raza have organized crime behind them, and they're bragging about it.
But that's what makes it dangerous, because it's one thing, because see, okay, when you think of gangsters, here's like how people would think, oh, they're street punks, right? You'll hear those kinds of words. But they don't say that about an organized gangster. They're like, whoa, because that gets serious, right? So that is it is a hurdle. I think it was a brick wall 20 years ago. Now it's just a hurdle. I think it's more so of just a hurdle because times have changed. If I don't know if you guys, I'm sure your audience will know, there's been a big change in the youth Raza. The Raza that I grew up as a kid would never dress and talk like the way I see Raza dressing and talking now. I don't mind it. I got cousins that talk and dress the same way, so I guess we coming together. I'm just dicking around playing. But still, there's a thing. People can say whatever they want about Swifty. I don't get into any of that. But like just his appearance, I never thought I would see a dude from a neighborhood with a gold grill, 6 diamond chains, Jordans, skinny jeans, but then say I don't do no business with blacks. Well, listen, that's cool, but that's gonna hurt you in the business because the one thing you can't do in the business, guys, and you may have personal beliefs and everybody have their own thing. You can't come across as racist, homophobic, or violent, right? You could be violent in your music and all that, but
and in your past.
But yes, but please don't have that with you when you come into the game, because then they'll be like, no, because you're a liability. Not even about whether you'll do something to them. It's just you'll do something that they got to pay for. And then it's not going to say, oh, this person did this. They're going to say whatever studio, right, has the, and it's like the studio goes first. That's the big thing. And then your name is small underneath it. So the studio doesn't want that. So those types of things. You also can't be anything that comes across as racist. And the prison politics of California have bled into to where people believe that Southern Mexicans hate black people.
Which is not true.
I grew up with them, so I know it's not true for that part. But there are pockets of. All right, but yeah. So those kinds of things can impact it. The street politics ruin a lot because, and again, the organization of Raza, street culture, is it causes issues. Because then even if you were Raza and you're like, I ain't trying to be like that, you may have to deal with backlash from people that you deal with. Like, what are you doing? This and that. Like, you sound this, you look like that. Why are you doing this with that person? Like, we don't mess with them. Like, all of that, it could. You know what I mean? So that's, some of that is a hindrance.
Well, you know, here's the thing that I always try to clarify as well. People in the streets know which neighborhoods are borderline racist, but there's a lot of hoods that they say are racist, but they'll get along with like a blood set, but they beef with the Crips. And I'm like, how is it? Why can't you comprehend it's gangbanging? It has to automatically be racist when they're cool with these blacks, but not those blacks.
Right.
You see what I mean?
No, I do.
And I know everybody always brings up the NK and NK.
Right.
It's people trying to inflame people and say, you know, disrespect them the worst way they can.
Well, when you're at war, you're at war. I mean, like, if you're at war, you're at war. People. I hear people in road rage. They'll just say the most racist, meanest thing.
Yes.
like if they're in their car, and you know, if you probably done it yourself, I know everybody does. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this woman is driving.
No, I was in a relationship with someone when she would argue with her own kids, or they would argue with her, they would always say the most hurtful thing, like whatever's gonna hurt you the most. And that's what happens sometimes with this gangbanging shit. It's not. I will never say that there aren't racists.
Of course, on all sides.
Exactly.
Everybody.
On all sides.
There's racists in every single ethnicity you can find.
But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that, man. As far as, hey, Raza, we gotta advance. We gotta do more and be more, man. And if you're gonna identify yourself with something that's gonna scare the shit out of people, understand the ramifications of that. You know what I mean? Caleb's a producer. Caleb, I'm sure, would work with people, but if you you can't go to Caleb's set and hit up another homie.
No, please don't.
Don't go to if you're trying to get into acting, music, anything, don't go around these people and start asking questions about big names. Leave that shit on the streets, or you know what? Stay in the streets where that matters, man. Because if you're trying to get into other places where that stuff doesn't matter to better your family, your community, that's what you should be focused on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta be that, like, the whole thing is business. It's about making money. And everybody understands that on a certain level. Like, you understand that. You can't mess up things on the yard. You're gonna mess up money for people that need it and want it, and there will be a problem. It's the same thing in the business. It's like it's anything that messes up the money is not gonna be good. So you just look at stuff. It's like is this decision gonna make me more money or make me harder to make money? You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, because it's a business. It's only about capital. You know what I mean? As sad as that is, and you know, and it again, it's an issue in the sense that I feel bad for a lot of Raza, because a lot of them are not that, and they just get blanketed with that. Even if they were from a neighborhood at one time or still or whatever, like, it's no different than being from any other gang. It's just that that gets labeled as something that's organized and not to be dealt with, versus something that's just, oh, it's just, you know, when I was a kid I was banging, but now I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff that the black gangsters get a leeway with, because there's nobody really they're gonna answer to, except outside maybe somebody in their own set or something mad at them. But
and that's easy to walk. You know, they could just be like, I'm good with that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's a thing. But again,
damn, I just noticed Caleb's little pool right here. My bad, I don't mean to interrupt you.
I call that a watering hole. It's not even big. My daughter, she loved it when she was a kid. Now she don't even want to get in it. But anyway, but yeah, you know, it's a thing. But I tell you this, there is a lot going on in the culture, right? I know you say you don't like the word Latin. I don't know what else to say it at this moment, but in the Latin diaspora, which is the biggest in the world, Latinos have the whitest of white Latinos and the blackest of the black and everything in between. It's amazing, right? But like, look at everything that's happening in music. One of the biggest stars in the world in music is a Puerto Rican kid named Bad Bunny.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, it's crazy. I've heard a lot of Raza don't mess with him, right? They're like, oh, he's you know. You know.
Beep.
Yeah, right? Exactly. But it's like, come on, like it's not, it's like, but he's speaking in Spanish and it's something else. A lot of Raza be like, I ain't trying to hear nothing in Spanish like that, right? Banda is different, but whatever it means when it comes to the reggaeton, it's like,
it is, that's true about reggaeton, yeah.
They're a little too, you know, and then, you know, they look a little too, you know what I mean? You know, it's a little dark in here, you know?
Yeah.
And listen, hip-hop culture is hip-hop culture. It's like, you know what I mean? It's so funny. I was watching a documentary on the Zoot Suit riots. And on PBS, which is, you know, they're all about the facts. And one of the things they said was, you know, they said the young Mexicans of Los Angeles at the time in East LA, they loved the jazz scene, right? Which is black music back in the day. They would go and they said they started wearing the suits like the black artists they saw. They started dressing like them. Now, if you think about it, the Zoot Suit for one time, but that style kind of stayed. They stopped wearing the suit hole looking, but you remember the pants up to there, suspenders, like creased up clean. Like it's the same kind of shiny shoes. Like it's crazy, like how the Cholo style grew out of that, right? And then I saw a video on my boy Kev Mack, shout out Kev Mack on his channel. He was talking about there was an OG Crip that was from Compton that said he got his gangbanging style from the Mexicans. He said, I saw how the Cholos dressed. That was clean. They was creased up. Everything was lined up. We started dressing like that. And so it's crazy how cultures borrow from each other. I tell Dubs all the time, if it wasn't for Raza, you know how many black old school artists wouldn't eat?
Exactly.
Britain would be working at In-N-Out if it wasn't for Raza.
For real. That's the truth right there.
You know what I mean? Like so we support and help each other in so many ways, but yet there's this idea that we're just at each other's throats and we hate each other. And of course there's those kinds of things. There's not gonna be no denying it. But for the most part, is that there's dudes that be like, oh, I don't get along with no Mexicans. Hey, pull up to the Mexican taco spot. I'm finna go get these. You know what I mean? Like the cultures are so intertwined. Like it's hard to break away. And the gang banging aspect is an unfortunate thing, but it's you know, it is what it is, you know, but again, I think when it comes to business, that kind of mentality has to leave, right? Which is one of the things that black street culture has been able to do when it comes to money. Like, hey, you saw Death Row was a bunch of Crips and Bloods. You know what I mean? Crips that like would be enemies with these dudes, but
see, it's like I said in the video recently. I said they figured out that red and blue makes green. And they were like, no, it makes purple. I'm like, you don't get what I'm saying. That's right. When the Crips and Bloods came together, they made a lot more money than beefing with each other.
That's right. And Suge provided that with Death Row. And, you know, regardless of what happened to it, at one point in time, it was the most powerful record company in the world. You know what I mean? So again, there's sometimes you just got to let things be what they are, let bygones be bygones, and figure out how to work together. There's plenty of Raza artists that I think that could be dope in the music business, but you need the godfathering from maybe a black artist, but you can't say, oh, I don't work with blacks. It's like, no, be quiet. You want Dr. Dre to jump on to make you a beat.
You need that, but you also need to stop identifying. Hey, just be who you are. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta stop. This is my advice. You guys do what, you know, Raza been rapping for 30 years now. Where's our big name rapper at?
Kid Frost.
Oh, man. I would say Conejo before him.
Hey, La Raza, that song back in the day.
It was marginalized because of what the topic was.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. People are marginalizing themselves in the rap game because I'm gonna keep it real. When I went to the barbershop the other day and they were playing Bozo, and Bozo killed 1,000 people in 2 songs. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is the old gangster rap. You know what I mean? I like the beats that I was hearing and everything else, but I was like, damn, hey, you know, we gotta stop just glamorizing and glorifying that.
Yeah, and you know what, but I mean, that part of rap is just what it is. Like, we got a whole thing called drill music that's changing, where it's only about murder and how many, you know, and that's pushed by the black culture like big time. It makes gangster rap look radio friendly. You know what I mean? Like the level of murder and darkness that they talk about in those records, but there's an audience for that. There's people that like that, and it's always going to be there. Like even what we were talking about in the industry, we're talking about Latin street culture. For whatever reason, Americans are infatuated with gangsters. It don't matter what ethnicity, they want to see gangster stuff. It starts with cowboys, right? But cowboys are outlaws, right? They're gangsters on horses. You know what I mean?
Remember that song by 50 Cent? At the beginning of the song, he said, America's got a thing for this gangster shit.
Yes, it's true.
Story.
It's 1,000%. And, you know, be that as it may. So that's always gonna be there, but there's a way that you can deliver these things, especially if you're Raza, in a way that keeps you free from outside of the purview of certain...
So I just want to thank Caleb very, very much for blessing our platform, for being here. I'm going to have to figure out how to get more storage. And if you guys want, do a part 2. If Caleb has time, he's a busy man. This strike needs to end soon so he can rake in all that money again.
That's right. If my money's funny, my credit won't get it.
But anyways, hey, thank you guys. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. We're out.